it's Lucy, and today I am going to be doing a spoiler-free review of Beauty Queens by Libba Bray. This review will be spoiler-free, as I already said, but I will tack on a little discussion section at the end, just because there's some things I wanted to get out there. And yeah, so that part will be spoilery, but I will warn you plenty of time ahead, and most of this video will be spoiler-free. Beauty Queens is a book about some girls who take part in pageants, and they are on their way to a beauty pageant on a plane when something happens and their plane crashes, and then there are only 12 of them left and they have to survive on this abandoned island. And I've heard it described to me as Lord of the Flies, but with beauty queens, and I agree with that, except these girls react way better than the kids in Lord of the Flies. If you've read that, you know what happens. But yeah, they are much better. So that's basically the synopsis. This book is one giant satire. It's pretty funny. There were no laugh out loud moments for me specifically, but I know other people have laughed out loud, and I chuckle in my head, if that makes sense. Like, I recognize funny parts. So like, it is pretty funny, and I really enjoyed this book. I gave it 3.5 stars, and I rounded it up to 4 stars on Goodreads. Because, you know, Goodreads doesn't do half stars. They really should get on that. Anyway, but yeah, I really enjoyed this book. And if you have any interest in feminism, funniness, satire, anything like that, I recommend it to you. And now I'm going to go into what I liked about the book, and then later I'm going to go into what I didn't like about the book. So, what I liked. First, the diversity in this book is pretty, amazing. This book follows 12, I could be lying about this number, but in my head it is 12 girls. So, of those 12 girls, one is black, one is Indian, one is hard of hearing or deaf, one is a lesbian, one is undecided about her sexual orientation, but it is shown how she is undecided, if that makes sense. Not just like they never mentioned it. And then one is transgender. So that's a lot of diversity, and all of these characters feel fleshed out, or as fleshed out as they could be in a book like this. It follows a large amount of people and spans mostly an even amount with most of them. Some of them get less time than others. With the amount of time that they have, I think they're pretty fleshed out. Each girl is like an individual person. The book recognizes any struggles they may have with whatever their diverse aspects may be. Like, the black girl has issues with what her family thinks about her hair, and what her family thinks about even her skin color. And yeah, it actually gets pretty deep for such a lighthearted book, and I really enjoyed that aspect of it. And even the girls who are not those girls, they do have aspects to themselves, like that they are kind of tropes. But as the book goes on, those tropes kind of get debunked, and you see how they are real people beyond those tropes. Another thing that kind of goes along with this diversity aspect is the feminism in this book. This book is very feminist. While I wouldn't exactly call it great feminist literature, it is a book that I would definitely recommend it to high schoolers or people even my age who, want to think about feminism a little better, especially through the way that it is written. Since it is such a fun and lighthearted book and it's told through jokes, people may not realize what they're reading, if that makes sense. So people who may or may not be not against feminism, but not really recognize what feminism is, and then they read this book and they realize, hey, these girls are right, then they're learning about feminist ideas, and maybe they'll go on to learn more. This book discusses a lot about what is society's definition of the perfect girl, what society tells girls that they should and should not do, and things like that. The last thing that I want to mention that I liked about this book is the ridiculousness. Everything about this book is completely ridiculous. Even with the serious topics I just mentioned, it still manages to be lighthearted, as I've also mentioned, and it's just ridiculous. There's no other way to put it. There are commercials in between chapters for random products, and then there are footnotes, which are also little advertisements sometimes, or they're detailing what these people are talking about, and it's just really fun. And that just added to the lightheartedness and just added to the funness. I always like books with footnotes, and this was not an exception. Although the book had all of those good things, there were still some things that I did not like. The first thing that I didn't like, even though I really did enjoy the ridiculousness, sometimes it just got to be a little too much. Like, they got on the island and they were still worried about the beauty pageant. And obviously, like, you're on this island, you should be worried about surviving, but they're still worried, and like some of them are like not worried, and like it's just like a big joke, which I appreciated, but sometimes it just got to be too much. I also didn't like that there were some new characters that were introduced about halfway through. I was having a really good time until they were introduced, and then they were introduced, and I was just kind of like, they didn't really need to be there, and I was really annoyed by them, and I was really disappointed in them too. I'll talk more about them in my spoiler section, which is coming up right now. So if you haven't read this book, I recommend you go read it and then come back to this video, because I'm going to be talking about a little bit of the things that happened in this book. Spoilers ahead. You can stop watching now. Go read it. Come back. We'll discuss. Now for the spoilery things that I wanted to talk about. First was how the dictator talked. He didn't make any sense. Not any sense, but like I just didn't understand why Libba Bray wrote him like that. I understand he was supposed to be like not balanced and like basically insane, but like I just didn't understand why he talked like that. It was just kind of weird, and I wasn't sure what it was trying to convey. And the people that I was talking about before who I really didn't like that came in halfway were the pirates. I really just didn't like them. I felt like they didn't need to be there. I felt like they kind of counteracted everything that the book was trying to say about how you don't need a guy, and then all the girls end up with, not all of them, a bunch of the girls end up paired with guys, and I was like, that didn't need to happen. I didn't really like them, and I felt like the girls would have been better off on their own. The third thing I want to talk about is kind of like a conspiracy theory, I guess. Was this book produced by the corporation? Like, that's my biggest thing. Like, I don't understand. I don't really understand what the book is supposed to be. Books don't have commercials, so like, is it a script? Is it supposed to be like a TV show? But then TV shows also don't have footnotes. So yeah, they don't make any sense. And like, where did this book come from? But if the corporation released this book, then why would they release it at all? Because it's all talking about how bad the corporation is. Basically, it's like it goes against all the corporation's values. Or it could be like how, you know, like maybe you don't know, but Dove, there was like a big thing because, or maybe it wasn't that big of a thing. There was a thing where Dove has their Real Beauty campaign or whatever it's called, but they're also owned by the same parent company as like Axe body spray, which has those horrible sexist commercials where like, oh, girls will love you if you use our body spray, and then it's like girls falling over themselves of this guy wearing disgusting smelling body spray. Guys, don't wear Axe. Like, it's not good. It's a lie. Those commercials are lying to you, first of all. But yeah, like commercials are pretty like sexist, and like, oh, Axe, like be a man, and like it's weird. Like, they're owned by the same company, so maybe this book is trying to convey that idea. Like, big parent companies just show whatever they want to show. Like, they don't actually have any ideals or values. They just kind of throw out whatever this part of society will want to see, and then this part of like, do you understand where I'm going? So maybe it could be that. I'm not really sure. Maybe I'm thinking too deep into it. I'm not really sure again. But yeah, so those were all my thoughts I had about Beauty Queens by Libba Bray. Again, I gave it 3.5 stars. I do recommend it. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, please be sure to give it a thumbs up. If you read this book, we can talk about it down below. If you have any idea about my corporation theory, then please let me know. And if you liked seeing me talk about books, then please be sure to subscribe to my channel, because I make more videos where I talk about books. Again, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in my next video. Bye!